Oh God. Okay.
Oh my God, I just discovered that there's a sequel to one of my books. Oh no.
This is terrible news.
Terrible news. Hi, and welcome to the Bookering Pod Halloween special.
Hello.
Spooky. Um, this might be the first time that we're with video. So,
Yeah.
welcome to that change if that's different from last time.
I'm
So,
Tawny, by the way.
oh,
Who are
this
you?
is Tawny. I'm Katie.
We're introducing ourselves this time, a thing we neglected to do.
Oh, we
previously.
definitely did not just record our October episode and not remember to do a bunch of things. It's fine. It's fine. Guys, it's our Halloween special. Tawny, what are you most scared of in the whole world?
I'm scared of ostriches because listen, birds shouldn't be that big. They shouldn't be that big. And they run so fast. They're so scary. I'm also really afraid of books. What are you most afraid of, Katie?
Oh, I'm most scared of being a burden or annoying.
Oh, you know what? That's actually more realistic. I share that same fear.
Incredible.
Many fears. Many fears.
But what's also scary are the worst books we've read in the past 1 to 2 years are what's scary. So for this very special episode, Tawny and I are going to be discussing 2 books we hated. What happened was that we each made each other read each other's least favorite book. By we, I mean I did this. I did
Katie
this.
did this.
I chose this path.
I tried to beg her not to read my worst book. I was like, this is so bad. Don't do it. And she's like, but I gotta.
And we're gonna have to simply start with this one. This is Fairy Godmothers Inc. by Tessa. No, it's Fairy Godmothers Inc. by Saranna DeWylde. I don't know why I'm so sorry to Tessa Bailey, who I was about to credit this book to. I apologize.
You know, I don't love all of Tessa Bailey's books, but she would never do this. She would never do this to us.
I've not even read anything by Tessa Bailey, but it was just like coming out of my mouth. I was like, this is who wrote this book. It's not. It's Saranna DeWylde. Fairy Godmothers Inc. is... Oh no. Have you ever read the Goodreads description?
I don't think I have, actually.
First in a magical new series full of edgy and hilarious antics. This is the read you need to finally give your year the fair... What?
This is a lie. This is a lie.
This is the read you need to finally give your year the fairy tale ending it deserves. Is this a grammatically correct sentence, even in the Goodreads description?
You know what? I think that's fitting.
Did the author also write the Goodreads description of this book? So, okay. So the concept here is that Lucky Fujuki is unlucky. Crazy.
Who could have guessed?
Crazy.
Wow.
And Ransom Payne is a hot businessman, I guess. And they both have the same fairy godmothers, right? They're the same ones.
Yeah, they do.
And they're like, can you get married to make Ever After a better town and get tourists? And they're like, yeah, okay. But the thing is that they have a curse that they can't have penetrative sex.
It is specifically they cannot have penetrative sex.
And I'd like to say that there's more to this book.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
I don't have, that's it. That's what the book's about.
Absolutely what this book's about.
What the book's about. That's the synopsis of the book. It's so bad. And like not in a fun way. Like I was anticipating it being like silly and like a bad Hallmark movie, like that kind of enjoyable, you know? But it's terrible writing. Like the first page, I sent a screenshot to Tawny being like, this is actually not readable. This does not make sense, this sentence. And she's like, it doesn't get better. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. And it's horrifying to me that there's a second book. Like that's
and like
horrifying.
I can't even believe that this one got published as is. The fact that a second one was published is wild. It's blowing my mind. Who asked? Literally, who asked for it? I can't imagine.
I have a positive thing to say about this is that
Okay,
she makes me confident that I can write a good book.
you can.
By good, I mean I can write a book as good. I can write a book as good as something that's been published, is how I feel.
You can write something better than
I can.
100%. I have no doubts.
I can do it. The second book's called Men Are Frogs. And disgraced wedding planner Zuri Davis gets a job with Fairy Godmothers Inc. and she moves to Ever After, but she falls for one of her groups. So it's just
okay, so the sequel isn't even about like that best friend
no,
who goes to the town.
Not.
I was like, oh, for sure this is about the two best friends getting together, because they were kind of setting that up. Not a thing I would read, but like it seems like the logical next installment. That's usually how these like rom-com multiverse things work. You just go with like your secondary characters. That's this is an interesting choice by everyone.
By the day Philip is a frog and throughout the night a prince is the situation. So
okay. And so this is okay. So not only is this poorly written,
the concept is so terrible. Like it's so problematic. It's
so
like
bad.
So bad. Oh my god.
Like, okay, so there's this whole thing where obviously these two people, they cannot have penetrative sex, and they try several times, and there's always a catastrophe. And there is a situation in the past where they're trying, and then he enters a different orifice, and she gets really angry at him and in public calls him the boy who missed. And then somehow this weird nickname follows him around for his whole life. Like
that would never happen.
This would never happen.
Never happen.
He's like a famous chocolate maker or something, and so this is like a tabloid thing where they always refer to him as the boy who missed. And I'm like, this is so implausible. This is so dumb. This is not a thing that would occur. Additionally, they both like really want to be together, but they have these obstacles or whatever, and he's talking about how much he loves her and he's not going to hold her bad luck against her. And then he's like, oh, but what if we like ever had kids? What if this bad luck is genetic?
Why would you think it's genetic? And wait, how? And then, okay, something deeply frustrating is like in the beginning of the book, he's like, oh, well, it would not be the end of the world if we could not have penetrative sex. That's okay. There's other forms of sex. But then at the end of the book, it is like a deal breaker.
Yeah, he's like, actually, this is the end of the world. Actually, I don't think we can be together because of this. It's like,
okay. This is a bad book. It's not cute. It's not good. The writing's bad. A specific complaint I'd also like to make is, so the main character's name is Lucky, and that's fine. You can have a silly joke as the character's name if she's unlucky, whatever. We're just talking about how much she hates her name, and she's like, I wish my name was as good as my mom's, whose name is Fortune. And I'm like, that's the same.
This is the same.
That's the same name. That's the same name. So I could go page by page and talk about something that infuriated me. It's not worth it. No one wants
It's not.
That. It's bad. It's a bad book.
don't read it. We're
0
begging
stars.
you not to read it.
It's not even worth a hate read. It's truly not. It's like it's not even fun. It's not.
If Goodreads allowed 0 stars, that is how many
no,
I would
it's
give it.
just
There's no redeeming qualities.
So bad. Don't read it. What was it called? Fairy Godmother Inc. by what's her name? 0 stars.
Saranna DeWylde. Like, apologies. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but this is
I'm so
bad.
I feel
like it's so bad.
When I give negative reviews, like I'll hurt their feelings, but maybe she needs it a little bit.
Yeah. Some tough love.
Tawny,
what did
I make you read?
Okay, you made me read The Wives by Taryn Fisher.
I sure did.
You really did. And okay, we probably should have said this at the top, but it doesn't really matter for Fairy Godmother Inc. We're gonna have spoilers. That's the situation. Yeah, we don't want you to read.
We don't want you to read the books,
so it doesn't matter. But if that's a problem for you, I guess
stop.
But
I will say, the last one was not a fun time. It was not a fun hate read. This one kind of is a fun hate read, so I don't recommend it. But but if you're curious, it might be an okay time. And I think even if you know the twist, you're still like, what the fuck? I need to read this for myself. You will still have an experience. So I promise you that. Yes.
Okay. So it tells you that this is about a girl named Thursday. And she is in a plural marriage. And it's cute because Thursday is her day of the week with her husband. She shares this man with 2 other wives, and they're on sort of like a rotating schedule. One of the rules about this plural marriage is that she is not allowed to know the identities of the other wives. They're not allowed to interact. It has to be completely separate. And then something happens and she starts getting curious about who these other wives are. One of them is pregnant, and I think she finds like a something from like a doctor's note or something with one of the other wives' names on it. And that's sort of the catalyst to get her like investigating these other women. There aren't actually murders in this, I don't think. Probably. I did read this, I swear. But anyhow, so she starts looking into who these other women are. She goes to one of their houses, and then she becomes convinced that that one of the wives is being abused by their shared husband. And it all just sort of devolves from there. Like she's feeling very anxious, and her mental health is deteriorating, and she's calling into question her whole relationship with her husband. This section of the book is not actually bad. Like, I was reading this and I was like, you know what, this is kind of interesting. I think this is an interesting angle to explore. Like, this abusive man has coerced these women into a plural marriage, and he's manipulating them, and he's gaslighting them, and he's abusing them, and this is like an interesting concept. That's not what this book is about. It is all a lie.
It's not, because I felt you being like, wait, this isn't actually bad. I'm like, no. Yeah,
I was like, oh no, do I like this? I was like, I might like Katie's worst book. No, because you know who's actually being gaslit? The reader. The reader is being gaslit. I was gaslit by Taryn Fisher because none of it happened. She was never in a plural marriage. She is this man's mistress. And she has made up this whole scenario in her head. The last like third of this book just like doesn't happen. Okay, so if you're gonna use something like a mental health twist where she's been imagining it the whole time and she's unwell, etc. There are things that you need to account for logistically. And this book just doesn't. There's this whole situation where she is in the hospital and the husband comes to pick her up and like spends the next couple of days with her or whatever. This doesn't happen. Her dad is the one who picks her up from the hospital. And it's like, this whole thing was just a hallucination. Like it doesn't make any sense. And honestly, insulting. Like, it's lazy writing. It's like, she didn't know where to take this story. And then she was like, okay, I'm just going to do a fake out. And just kidding, none of it was real. And that is my least favorite kind of twist. Like, just because your twist is surprising doesn't mean that it's good. It doesn't mean that it's well done. If no one had any way to see it coming, it in fact means that you did a bad job because you did not plot it well at all. It's infuriating. It's because
because the thing is that the author no longer had to do any work to tie up any ends, to make things thematically relevant, to make it come together, because anything could have been Thursday's delusion. Like, the whole anything could have, and she used that. And could she have done this in a way that was compelling? Probably. There's probably a way that this could be compelling. It's not, though, because it is an interesting, fast-paced, engaging thriller that, like, oh, I'm so interested to see where this goes. Do they all gang up on the husband? Like, what happens? And it's just, like, so disappointing that it's a story of a woman falsely, like, accusing a man of being terrible and her herself, like, being terrible. Like, that's deeply upsetting.
Especially because he is terrible too. Like, yes. He's obviously cheating on his wife or whatever. But that's completely overshadowed by all of these things that she has done. Yes. Because this text is telling us that she is crazy or just mentally unwell. And it's like, you can't just like write everything off as, well, girl wasn't right in the head, so there it is. It's like it undermines the whole situation, the whole thing that's established as this man sucks, but that's no longer the point anymore. And I'm angry.
No, and I think it's such a letdown because the beginning was compelling, because it was very compelling. I was very into it. And then, like, it was such a disappointment, like, such a false promise. It's like it was like, this could have been so interesting and good and a really good exploration of like these characters, and instead it was like the author just like gave up and like just turned it in, and she's like, here's a twist for you.
Yeah.
And it was just like the most infuriating thing I've like read in my whole life, because it was like, you had something,
you
and
really
then you
did.
turned it in and it was bad. What? And her editor should have been like, no.
Let's go back and rework
this.
Let's go back to the original premise.
Go back.
Yeah.
I'm deleting the last 200 pages. Go back. No.
And like, so in general, the like unreliable narrator thing it's not my favorite. It's not a thing I tend to enjoy.
I think it's really hard to pull off successfully because
there's a situation in Philadelphia.
It's a really hard thing to pull off successfully because like there has to be a reason for it. Philly's mad at this book too, guys.
Yeah, you know what? Understandable.
Yeah, like there has to be a reason for it. It can't mean that everything the reader just went through was fake, which is what happens here.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be unreliable in smaller ways, in a way that like everything the narrator was telling me, like they believed it and it was true, but now I understand a different point of view. This was like everything Thursday thought was fake, and also everything that was real is kind of incomprehensible to the reader. Oh my God, Philadelphia. Sirens noises while Katie pours more wine.
It's like I keep thinking, oh, now they're right right by your window, and then it's like, no, now they are. Oh, they're gone. No, oh, you muted.
I muted myself.
But yeah, it's and it just leaves the reader honestly confused, because even though they're like, yeah, all of or most of this was fake, I still feel like they tried to imply that some of this was real, and it's, you can't untangle those threads. You're left at the end still not knowing what was real and what was fake, and it's just not wrapped up in any kind of satisfying way at all.
Because even like if some of it was real, it doesn't make any sense, because it's so like Seth, the husband, is so explicit in the beginning that it's like there are other wives and stuff. So it's just like, if there are things that are real, like she's still making up like dialogue too, you know? Like there's normally unreliable narrator, like the dialogue isn't unreliable too, but it is in this case. So it's just, I just felt like, yeah, like it was very upsetting. It did feel like an insult to the reader to be like, okay, I had you, and then I lost you.
It was like the whole point of this is to be like, gotcha, like funny prank, and it's like, no, this is dumb. Like, I will say for both of these books, they were mercifully short. Both were, I think, like around the 250 page mark. So I think we both read them quite quickly. So there's that to be thankful for. But like,
no, they're short.
But I mean, when the saving grace of your book is that it's not long, that's not a good sign for the quality of your book.
Nope. And what was a shame is this is the first and only Taryn Fisher book I've read, and I just can't read anymore because I don't trust her.
Same. Yeah, because at first I was like, well, I do think the writing at the first part of this book was good, so maybe I would read something else by her and give it a shot. But yeah, I have trust issues now. I'm not
going back there
again.
No. So these were two very different, terrible books.
Yeah.
One, bad, just writing style, not compelling, terrible premise, a bad time. The other, good premise, good writing, big disappointment.
Failed execution.
Really bad execution. Did not follow through. Just like led you straight off a cliff there. A roller coaster that did, like, it just went up, and then like there wasn't track, and then you just like plummeted to the bottom is what happened. Yeah. I
do want to say, so I have the Goodreads page for the wives pulled up right now. Apparently Colleen Hoover gave this book 5 stars. Miss Hoover.
Maybe they're friends and she didn't want to be mean.
That's probably true, but wow, way to lie to the people, Colleen.
I know a lot of reviews are like, oh yeah, I like Taryn Fisher and Colleen Hoover. I'm like, they're different.
They're very different.
One's good. But yes, there is nothing spookier than a book that's bad.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Okay, also, if this is your first time experiencing us, we're usually not mean at all.
No,
we're usually so nice.
Are very positive.
I enjoy most of the books that I read.
Me too. Me too. Like this past month, everything was 3 stars or greater, except for Fairy Godmother Inc.
Yeah, same.
Do not even count that in my books read, really. So, yeah.
Because did I read it, or was it a fever dream?
Yeah, it was like a 2-hour experience, and I was like, I've read fan fictions better than this. So that's the situation. Yeah, no, like I very rarely rate below a 3. I usually have something nice to say. I'm sorry. This is just the Halloween episode where we're gonna be mean. We're mean people today.
Today.
I mean,
we're in costume as mean ladies.
Yes. If you would like to hear more of our reviews, subscribe here and or on your favorite podcast app. If you prefer us only, if you would like to not look at us,
That's fair.
offended. But you can just listen to us too. That is an option. And we have a podcast every month and sometimes bonus episodes where we do things like this. So follow us along and read better books than this.
Yeah, make better choices.
Yeah, make better choices than us. Don't, when someone describes a bad book to you, don't respond, "Oh, I have to read that."
Are we gonna stop doing that to each other though? Probably not. We're
not.
But we're the exception. Do as we say, not as we do.
Not as we do. Please do not. You can find me on Twitter and Goodreads and Instagram at @CatZellNerd, and you can find us at BookeringPod on Instagram and Twitter as well, where we have content with book reviews and funny things that Tawny says. Tawny, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads at Tawny Waterman everywhere. We're a real podcast. We're not
a real podcast.
We're real.
We're real. We've had over 100 downloads. We're a real podcast.
Wow.
Real podcast.
Stressful.
Wild. But yes, do not read these books. Listen to our real episodes for books that you should read.
Yes, do that.
A plug. Happy Halloween. Have a spooky time. Read some spooky books. We hope they're good.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Ow.